Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And we got another live stream today. Please let me know if the mic's working correctly today. So, the importance of self-reflection. I do have a couple stories to talk about that were from live coaching sessions that I had recently that are tidbits and summarized that motivated me to talk about this day, because this is certainly a topic I've talked about before, being that there's 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel. And I don't know if people really stop and think, like, do you even self-reflect at all? Do you do self-reflection at all? What does it mean to do self-reflection? So before we get into that, I do have a link to the Discord in the notes below. I do have a link to my website, rightmac.com, if you want to book a live coaching session, or if you'd like to send in your story and get my take in a YouTube video. That is available. Now, self-reflection. Interesting topic. What would you say self-reflection is to you, Danny?
Self-reflection is like looking back at yourself and like take a look or like ponder.
Ponder.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Ponder your actions, possibly?
About a lot of things about yourself, actually.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
Mm-hmm.
Not just your actions, like I'm at a loss for words.
Well, the importance of self-reflection is the topic, but self-reflection, the definition could be defined by people differently, looking at it differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say that I think what you're saying is not just your actions, but maybe your feelings about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that one thing that I've come to realize in doing a lot of research and reading a lot of psychology and listening to a lot of podcasts over the years is, number one, a lot of us are just living a program where our subconscious is guiding us and we have no clue what program we're running on or why we're doing what we're doing. And we're not aware of taking a step back, or at least I wasn't for a long time, taking a step back and getting in touch with, shit, man, this when I do this, I don't feel good. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Like yeah. Feelings are actually the secret sauce to your happiness, if you will. They are the guiding lights. When someone goes, "Oh, I'm just not happy," or I just, you know, everything's bad, everything's this. Well, if you do it long enough where you get in a situation where you get used to feeling down or you get used to seeing things negatively, you kind of get off on it. There's people that like, they had this study. I just saw this recently. What's up, Sam Chai, San Diego's finest? They had this study recently. This is kind of crazy. They said that, and I don't know the study. This was something from YouTube that was through a podcast or something I was watching. But they were saying that people, when they're bored, will actually seek out pain rather than being bored. Think about that, Dan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking? Like, so what they did is they set up, like something that could shock you. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like an electric shock. And then they just had someone sit in a room for an hour. And the amount of, I don't know what exactly it was, but the amount of people that would rather shock themselves, and when I say shock themselves, it hurt. I don't know what the voltage was, but it was a jolt. Yeah. Then sit bored. That's pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because they just want to feel something.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Right? So it's kind of fucking crazy, right? Not a whole lot. Saving lives in COVID, you know, that's what we do here. Good for you, Sam Chai. Not a lot of people could say that. Take a bow. And I'll tell you what, since you're Thai, I'll give you a why. But getting back to the topic today, isn't that interesting, though, that you'd actually seek pain rather than boredom? Like, you'd rather shock yourself to feel something if you're in a boring room for 2 hours than to go, oh, the shock hurts me. It kind of says a lot about human nature, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I saw that and I was like, what the fuck? But it actually makes sense. And so when people are in relationships and they're like, oh, it just got stale, oh, it just got boring, or your job's that way, and then some kind of drama pops up, if you self-reflect about your actions, your feelings, and what kind of led to that, you might have played a role in that. A lot of times people think shit just happens to them and they didn't have any role in it. It's just an unfortunate set of events. Sometimes it is. But if you really look back and you self-reflect, you had a feeling a lot of times at some point where you're like halfway through, like, I don't even think I want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. But you had a feeling, like an intuition or something that was icky or ill. And I'm not saying, here's what's interesting. It's different than when you're nervous. Sometimes when you're nervous, that means you're excited. Does that make sense? Like a nervous feeling before you go to a job that you really want. And there's studies on this with basketball players and movie stars that every time before they performed, Bill Russell, who is regarded as one of the greatest basketball players ever, I don't know how he'd be ranked, but he's up there. It was reported, I don't know if this is accurate every game, that he would throw up before games. And this guy was like captain of the team, won multiple championships, and he'd throw up before every game. And there's, I think, Peter Fonda, who's a famous actor, also claimed that before any performance, I think when he was on in plays and stuff, maybe before acting, I had read somewhere that he threw up before every performance. So that would be nerves. But emotions that you go, and this is where I'm coming from. Yesterday, I had a really good coaching session with a client, live coaching session. And this guy's in his early 20s. He's in college. He's just about to finish. And he had already sent in his story. So his story was already unpacked. And his story was, if you go back, basically him and his girlfriend have been together for a while. I think it was a couple years, and that he had always been into her in high school, and then they circled back, and in college they got back together by chance. It was a pretty good relationship. He had some questioning of it, and then politics happened. And this is probably going to be something that comes up more and more in places like America because it's a hotbed right now. If you're not with someone, you're against them, and so people are having a lot of trouble right now agreeing to just disagree. You're either wrong or you're right. And so basically this bled over into his relationship, and he said that he was apolitical for years, and then recently he didn't necessarily regard himself as a quote unquote Trump fan, but he was going to vote for him. He liked him better than Biden, and he had his reasons. And talking to this guy, he's a smart kid, 22, 23. He had his reasons, whatnot, and the girlfriend lost it, hysterically cried, told her, just went off on him for even fathoming the idea of voting for Trump. Now, this is how she felt. This was a game changer for her. But I was really proud of the kid at 22, 23 years old that it was a game changer for him too, because you need to stick to your values, your morals, and have some fucking dignity. And he walked away. And right now he's kind of going through it because he misses her. He's human. But he knows the breakup had to happen. This was the things that she was passionately upset about with him for and judging him for were non-negotiable to move on in the relationship. And politics at this point for a lot of people is a polarizing thing. And yeah, if you can't agree to disagree or keep that to the side, which I think it's really difficult if someone's real passionate about it, it can break you up. And I don't think you should negotiate your morals and values, which go into your politics or your beliefs, in lieu of being in a relationship with someone. That's sacrificing your soul. So when we got into this, he goes, you gave a really good review of my story and I wanted to talk to you, but I kind of want to talk about some other things. So I said, no problem. This is your coaching session. We can go back over the breakup, or we can talk about what you want to talk about, and I'll let you lead. So the first thing we got into, and this is something I don't really put on my coaching site or my website, but he's unsure about being 22, 23 years old, what he wants to do next when he graduates college. What do I do next? And it's kind of funny because Danny, you're 22 or 23, Dan?
22 still.
22 still, graduated college. And you get that in your head sometimes, even though you work with me right now, right?
Yeah.
It's because you got your whole life ahead of you. College gave you a structure and a finish line where you're like, I know what I'm doing for the next 4 years. Someone asks you, hey, what have you been up to? I go to college. So you have something, right?
Yeah.
And then you get out and it's like, people are like, what are you doing? Unless you have a career or a job that you're proud and privileged to do, sometimes it's hard for people to answer that question, and they get anxiety about it. They get influenced by the subculture of where they live. And so he was kind of going through the idea of like, yeah, so this is what's really interesting when I do a FaceTime or a Skype and we do video chat. Your emotions and your body language and the way you take a deep breath when you answer something is something I observe now. And people will show their cards, so to say, about how they feel about something. They don't even know they're doing it. So he got into a really good, some kind of a master's program, grad school. And he's got a benefit that through his father's line of work that he gets school fully paid for till he's 26. So anywhere he wants to go, it's paid for. So he feels a bit obligated to use that, but he's kind of not excited about getting a master's. He's kind of in this crossroads. Does that make sense? Like, I have to use it, but I don't know what I want to use it on. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of thinking about it. So we ended up having this coaching session. We really unpacked that, and that's something I've done with other people before about careers and jobs and sorting through it. And one of the things he's dealing with is he's got a great relationship with his parents. There's no like, oh, my parents don't understand. None of that shit. He has a good relationship with his parents. But he does still feel the pressure of making sure he gets a good, secure job that society, you know what I mean, pension, benefits, all these kinds of things. But at the same time, he considers himself a creative individual that wants to get into some arts. So he's conflicted. But while we were going through it, he was going, like right before he'd answer something, I go, what's that feeling? That means it's hard for you to answer the question because it's not something you want, right? So when we got into it, I did an ikigai with him, if you're aware of that, which is a Japanese thing. And when we got to there's 4 main questions in an ikigai, and I said, what do you love to do? And he said, I love horror movies, and that's what I want to get into. It's totally random, right? Totally random. But I can't, because he had all these limitations why he couldn't do that. So we went over all the reasons why he could do that or could do it on the side, and that he could easily create some kind of skit or movie on YouTube. He goes, I actually was already planning that last year. So he started to identify with himself, his feelings, and what he really wants to do. Now, we just got a comment from the great Samchai here. How do you not know what to do after college? You go and do what you studied in college. That's how it probably should be, Samchai, but there's a lot of people out there that change their mind because they meet someone or they change directions, so they change their idea from a major. There's a lot of people that are in college they're still not sure about what they want to do, or they've been influenced by family, parents, someone from their youth that said, you need to get this degree because it'll make you money. Or you need to get this degree because it's what's best for you in this major. And so what happens with people like that, they get more and more conflicted by doing something they don't really want to do in the name of satisfying other people who have told them this is what's best for you. Now, over time, one of the ones that comes to mind immediately is accounting, which is a very good major because there's a lot of work in accounting. It's very versatile. It's very useful. And anyone that I've known that's become a CPA or anything like that, they have a job. But about half of them always tell me they don't like the job. Same with lawyers. People that I've known that are lawyers, they either love it or they hate it. So getting back to this self-reflection after a breakup, you got to look at the parts of your life that you feel ill about, that you feel icky, that you feel like, I don't want to talk about that. That's the place you got to go explore that has nothing to do with your relationship. Because you feel like everything that's wrong is because of the breakup. It's not. You got so many other things that you have to offer the world, and the world has to offer you, and you have all the doors shut because you're just looking at the one door that is your relationship. And in order for you to have a good relationship or a great relationship, you got to get rid of those sighs. So where are you going to school at? Well, I picked this school that my dad went to the school, and I have a full scholarship. So what's the program? Well, it's marketing mixed with da-da-da-da, and you're like, so are you excited about that? I mean, literally, this is how, when someone's talking on the FaceTime, you're like, they're not even aware of the emotion they're withholding because they don't have a mirror in front of themselves. Or they're not. Self-reflection, by the way, not everyone's going to do the mirror thing, but that could be one. When you're going for a walk or you're going for a jog or you're doing meditation or you're doing something that's isolated and you're going through things in your head or journaling, pay attention to that part where you don't want to write it down or you don't want to say it, because that's the thing that you need to punch through. If you have, you're sitting, you have trouble getting through this sentence of where you're going to school and not being excited about it, or, by the way, nervous. I like I said, nervous is one of those things when it comes to a challenge that's not bad, because you can embrace that in a good way. Being a little bit scared but thinking I'm capable of doing this is not a bad thing. Doing something that you just feel like, I don't know what it is. I just don't like it that much. I can't see myself doing this forever. And I know when I worked in real estate, residential real estate, I always had this feeling, I don't really want to do this long term, but I'm pretty good at it. It wasn't a difficult job for me. I'm a people person. I had done sales before. I had a great memory as far as, market statistics and things like that. And there was just something about it that didn't feel like this is what I want to do for a long time and I want to get better and better at it. But I was glued to it, and glued is a good word because family and friends would go, oh shit, man, you're a residential real estate agent. And by the way, where I was a residential real estate agent had very expensive real estate. So the commissions were very good. I was with a very good firm. I worked with good people. I had a good mentor. I had a lot of shit lined up. If I would have stuck with that, I would have made a lot of money. But I remember feeling like this I should feel better about this work. I should be skipping around. And I would get commission checks and it would be anticlimactic when I'd get a commission check for 10 grand and I should be, excited as hell, and all I could think about was, oh, I'm gonna get these people that bought the house a really nice gift. But the job just had this ill feeling to it for me, and it wasn't fulfilling is the word, and I also wasn't proud and privileged to do it. I felt like when someone asked me, "What do you do?" and that was the thing about residential real estate, you almost always had to be on, because you meet someone and they could be a potential client. So that part I didn't like, because you come off disingenuous sometimes. Oh, what do you do? You know, I remember I was in a barber chair at a bar. My barber was away, my regular barber, and I went to this other barber shop. And this guy's like, "So what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And when I was 25 and I first started, I looked very young when I was 25. I had a baby face. And so people a lot of times thought I was like 18, 19. So on top of that, real estate agents usually look older for whatever reason. He's like, when I said, "Oh, I'm a real estate agent," he's like, "What? What?" And my confidence and feeling about the job was so low, I almost felt like, yeah, I didn't like the feel of it. But I didn't know why, because like I said, friends and family were like, "Wow, man, you got a great job. You're going to make a lot of money." Like, they were excited. They were proud. They thought it was golden. And like I said, I had some nice commission checks. I mean, I never in my life, there was a commission check I had that was over 26 grand. This was like 15 years ago or whatever it was. One check. And I remember, shouldn't I be more excited about it? Don't get me wrong. I was like, yeah, this is cool, but it just didn't hold the weight of emotion or good feeling that I thought it would. But I couldn't stop and self-reflect and go, this teaching thing is something that keeps knocking at my door, and this is what I really want to do. And you always have these inclinations. And this is what I would tell people if you're really wondering about where you should start when you're kind of searching through ideas of what you'd want to do. What are your earliest inclinations when you're young? Comic books, not me, but other people. Video games, not me, but I've had other people say that. For me, it was sports and watching sports. That was a big deal for me. Like, I watched Sports Center every night when I was, I think, probably 5 or 6 years old, all the way up to, in my teens. I would read the sports page every day from the newspaper, from the San Francisco Chronicle. So I wanted to do something with sports, and I wanted to maybe do like a commentator or something like that. I didn't end up doing it. But I always wanted to do something where I worked with people, and also possibly doing something on radio like this. So your inclinations when you're young, you might not do exactly what you wanted to do when you're young, but it will tie in some way. So I get it. I went through the same. When I was younger, I wanted to be a fashion designer, but my brother said, "What the fuck are you thinking? That's a girl's job. You're a man. Do something a man should do." That's so funny you say that, Samchai, because there's a guy I know that actually is a fashion designer, opened multiple stores. And if you met him, a lot of people assume he's gay because of the way he dresses and the way he handles himself, and the way he talks. And he's not. And I'm saying that because you said a girl's job. So the assumption is that it's a subculture to be a fashion designer. The guy always wears black or white. That's what's always interesting about fashion designers. You think they would be more bold. Have you ever noticed that, Danny?
No.
If you ever look up fashion designers, a lot of times if they're interviewed, they have a black shirt on, black T-shirt or a white T-shirt. They never wear like bright colors or anything like that.
Huh.
Kind of interesting. But that's one of those things where you can be influenced by a friend, colleague, or family member, and you have to think about, how did that make you feel? That's self-reflection. Self-reflection after the breakup, you can go through those things at a whole nother level because you're at ground zero. Do you care as much what your friend, colleague, or coworker cares about when you just lost the opinion, the love of the person that you thought was number one? That's what's really hard. You've put all this interest and love into one person, and then it goes to shit, and now you're left by yourself. It's time to self-reflect. It's really important to get to the bottom of who you are and why you feel the way you do, and get to work on exploring the things that get you excited or make you actually feel good. I was just in a live coaching session with another guy yesterday that's working towards being a fireman, which is a great job, very admirable, very hard to become a fireman and get hired because it's very competitive. And this guy's a very good guy. He's having some trouble with the breakup because they had a good relationship. One she described as perfect, but he was almost too perfect. And this isn't one of those situations where he was too nice. It sounds like she was just in her mid to late 20s and she wants to see what it's like to be single. People have a lot of trouble with those ones, but it's a reality. I'm in my 20s. I'm still curious. Is this the last person I'm going to be with? So he gets, we've done a couple coaching sessions. He's just puzzled by some things. And I suggested that he go do a charity because it's something that would look good on his resume, but also it usually makes you feel good to help people. And I pity some people that don't have a job where they actually help people. And if you don't help people directly, you should be the one at your job that's helping colleagues, right? So think about in your own life, and I'll ask Rob, and I'll get Skinner involved, I'll get Samchai involved. Yonkau Zorro Welcome, which is an interesting name. Yonkau Zorro. Interesting name. Was there a time in your life, I'd be interested to hear Rob maybe answer this, because Rob, I believe you're in your early 30s, Samchai. Was there a roller girl also? Was there a time in your life where you had an epiphany or a moment where you realized, I got to go do this thing. I got to go explore this thing or this idea that I keep having in my head, but I just keep putting to the side. Or I got to change this about myself. Was there a moment like that? And what transpired to do that? A lot of times it's crisis. A lot of times it's something bad. Before the sweet, you have to taste the sour. And how much do you believe when you don't get self-reflection? Are you just living out other people's expectations or society's expectations? And that's why I believe that more people need to attempt to get some alone time, possibly away from the phone, by the way, not being interactive with the phone, but going on a walk or doing something that gets you inside your head and just journaling or something like that, where you actually reflect about who you are and what you want. Who you are and what you really want, and what makes you excited and what makes you feel good, what makes you tick. And the animated movie that just came out, Soul, they call it What's Your Spark. I do believe you can have more than one thing, by the way. You don't need to have just one thing that really excites you or gets you up in the morning. It could be that I believe, what's interesting is Einstein played the violin. He also, was, what would we call him, a mathematician, scientist, what have you. I don't know his body of work that well. even though he's this genius from the past. Strangely enough, someone recently that I was talking to that's a pretty intelligent individual, mathematician himself, said that Einstein was overrated and that it's because he looked the way he did that he got this celebrity. A lot of his theories have been proven wrong, but people still regard him as this absolute genius because of how he was packaged to society. He's one of those people too, isn't it interesting that, let's think about this for a minute. You look at Gandhi, Einstein, Bob Marley, Bruce Lee. These weren't people that looked like everyday people, right? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's what's, you guys want to hear something incredible about, I think Bob Marley's got to be the biggest legend of the world, because I've been to Mexico, lived in Thailand for years. Bob Marley's everywhere. It's crazy. Like, Bob Marley's popular everywhere. Mm-hmm. There's Bob Marley's bars everywhere in the world. I mean, he does have fantastic music. Yeah. Right? I mean, and the amazing thing about Bob is that all that music's like handcrafted. None of it was sampled. Uh-huh. That's pretty amazing, the amount of instruments and everything involved in that. But those people that I mentioned, I'm curious if they just, I read this somewhere. Someone said that one of the reasons they got really good at what they got good at is because they knew what they wanted to do early on, and they just went straight for it all in. And I think we get detoured from what we really want to do early on by expectations and limitations of other people. And so if you're in a breakup right now, or you're at any point in your life, take some time to self-reflect about what excites you. And then if you feel limited, here's the interesting thing that we did in the coaching session yesterday. If you feel like, oh, I can't do that because, talk to someone like myself, and let's get creative and resourceful on maybe some aspect of it that you're not looking at. There might be something you're not looking at that you could recreate the position. So I'll give you some examples of this. Robert Greene, the great author Robert Greene, who has a great book called Mastery, talked about this one before as an example. There was a guy that was deeply, deeply into basketball, but he wasn't an NBA player or anything like that, okay? But he played high school ball, and he was pretty good. And I believe he was Jewish, I think he said. I forgot what it was. And he said his parents were very adamant that he needed to go to university and he needed to get rid of this basketball thing. Being someone that was a good son, he went to school, he became a lawyer at a successful firm, but he always had this ill kind of feeling about, he didn't like being a lawyer. He loved basketball. Again, he said maybe he could have played college ball or something like that, but he wasn't going to be in the NBA. This isn't one of those stories. But he had these drills that he had developed over the years to make himself really well. Well, while he was a lawyer, he still played in, I think, some leagues, and he still did his drills, which is kind of interesting because I played in a couple of rec leagues and things like that over the years, and I wouldn't say I would go all out to go do drills privately. You know what I mean? You know what a drill is, Danny? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you know what I mean?
Like a training regime?
Yeah, like training, with a schedule, not just a schedule, but certain things. So he kept doing this, but he was doing it at his alma mater, his former university. I think it was Maryland. And one of the players there that was going to be an NBA player saw him doing this and was like, "Hey, man, can you train me as like a personal basketball trainer?" So when you think of personal trainers, you don't think of a personal basketball trainer for drills. It just doesn't come up, right? I think basketball players, even Michael Jordan and some of these guys, they had guys that would be like, weight training, maybe even a personal chef, but someone that would give them the drills would probably be their coach. And then you'd play games and different things like that. But to have a personal, Steph Curry, I believe, has it now. So this was kind of one of those fields that he did. In high school, he wasn't like, I'm going to be a personal basketball trainer. But he stuck with the sport, and he found a niche that wasn't probably even on the map when he was going to law school. He ended up getting personal training gigs with multiple NBA stars, starting off with one. And the guy, I don't know how famous he is, but he's worked with Elton Brand. He's worked with multiple players, and I just know Elton Brand was the first guy that paid him a lot. And people might think, oh, he just fell into that. No, he stuck with the sport. He was around an environment that valued that, and he cut out a niche that wasn't even there, or he didn't even know was there as an option. So what that takes, though, too, like I said, a lot of times, Charles Bukowski is one of the greatest examples, right? He's one of the great authors of all time. He's a dirty old man that wrote dirty old books. You'd probably like him, Danny. Do you know Charles Bukowski?
Yeah.
And he didn't become famous till his 50s, his early 50s. And he stuck with writing. That was all. That's the only thing that was his spark. He had a pretty dark outlook on life. But it's very important that you don't see one path towards doing what you want to do. Right? It's like what I've done with my breakup coaching so far. I've been told multiple times, well, you better go back and get a master's degree in counseling. Really? Really? That's what I should do so that you could feel better? Well, you have to do that. Really? I have to do that? Let me see if I can carve out my own niche and my own style and just be honest with people and tell them what I think about their breakups and hold no bones about it. Oh, I don't know. I think you probably have to get a designation for that. Really? Good thing I didn't listen to anyone about that. Because I don't think I would be better at what I do if I went to get a master's degree in this. That doesn't mean that master's degrees aren't valued. But I'll tell you what, I would be following a textbook rather than my intuition, rather than the multiple books that I've read or podcasts or documentaries that I've watched that all contribute to me helping give advice. It's like when someone gets a master's or a PhD and they hold a lot of weight on that, you're going to tell everyone what you got for your grades? That's a good question, Danny. Mm-hmm. If someone gets a PhD or a master's, there was a guy I knew that was a colleague that worked at a university I was at as a teacher. And he was like, oh, I've got multiple degrees and I've got a master's in this and that. And it's like, okay, good for you, man. We're both working the same job, though. But by chance, I forgot what it was. I think that he had given me his resume to give to someone in the office or something like that. And being human, you look down and it had some transcripts from his grades. Guess what his grades were, Danny? D's and C's. Uh-huh. But he had a master's. But you know what I mean? That doesn't show up, right? It's like, looks like you didn't do very well in school, dude. This degree that you're floating around. But D's get degrees. So, all right, let me get to the live stream. For me, was when I was 35, I wanted to see the States. I did traveling nurse for about 4 years. It was exciting just to go to different places. So, Samchai, were you born in Thailand? Thailand is next. Heba Alzubaidi. Mac, you are a wonderful coach. I like how you emphasize the importance of other aspects of life for self-achievement. Well, thank you for the kind words. Going through a hard breakup. Cassidy Claire, welcome. I don't think I've seen you on the live stream before. Going through a hard breakup with a man I lived with for 3 years. Okay, 3 years is a achievement in itself these days. He turned out to be an abusive, alcoholic, and it has been hard for me to start healing. I always hoped you'd change. It's too tough. Well, all paths lead to now, Cassidy. Number one. Number two, you're disentangled. You're out of the net. And if you're having a lot of trouble, I would highly recommend doing a live coaching session with myself. Because 3 years is a long time, and an abusive relationship is something that you need to get everything out. Because sometimes you can have some guilt there, and a lot of times if someone's with a bad alcoholic, they're worried about them. They're worried if they leave, like, what's this person going to do? Are they going to be destructive? Are they going to hurt themselves? And it's no longer your responsibility. I've dealt with an alcoholic parent before. It's tough. It's tough. It will test you. But how old are you, Cassidy, if I may ask? Jesse, my man, what's up? Deputy from America to clarify. Deputy 507, I believe it is. Guy's doing work on Instagram. And have you seen his Instagram, Tanny?
No.
Deputy 507,
No.
Deputy 507, also known as Jesse. He's got 500,000 followers, I believe, on TikTok. 547. I'm sorry. Deputy 547. My apologies, my friend. I hope you're well, by the way. It seems like you're doing really well. 547. So I was wrong. He corrected me. Was he an alcoholic for all 3 years? Good. That's actually a good question. Came to America when I was 5. Well, I'll tell you what. Do you want to come back to Thailand? In the wake of what's going on now, even though San Diego is a beautiful place, you got one of the best places to be. Well said. A degree doesn't mean anything. It's the experience and trials you went through. It is. It really is. By the way, to me, anyone that has any type of degree, it's an achievement. I give you props. I give you respect. I give you kudos. It's just when, to me, what? Jesse says, actually, I was able to quit my job, man. I'm my own boss right now, living the dream. Get the fuck out of here. Jesse just dropped 19. Yeah, because of TikTok and Instagram, he's got 500,000 followers or something. I don't know how that. Shit, man. Good for you, bro. And he donates money too to some charities, if I'm correct. Man. That's crazy. You quit your job. So you were able to quit your job because of your social media status? Wow. Hell yeah, man. I've made more in 2 months than I would in a year there. That's got to be 40 grand or something like that, at least. Well, I'm happy for you, Jesse. You're good people, bro. Hell yeah, donate the autistic clinic and the Special Olympics. That's admirable. To me, what you should strive for if you're striving to be rich, famous, or a millionaire or billionaire is to be a philanthropist. It doesn't mean you have to give all your money away, but you should be giving a large portion of money away instead of having 50 Mercedes or a shoe collection of 55 shoes or something like that. I think philanthropy is probably one of the most noble things you could do as a human being, probably. Well said. A degree doesn't mean. Yeah, there's people I've met that have high designations that. Here's one. Let's say someone goes to a therapist, right? And they're trained in psychotherapy. But the thing that gets me is if I go to someone for a breakup or I go for business advice, I'd probably rather go to someone that specializes in a specific thing. The idea that someone can mend all problems, and this is why I say this, Samchai, is if you have, let's say you have a psychotherapist and they've been married 45 years and they have a hunky-dory peaches and cream marriage, and then you're in a breakup, and how are they going to maybe they say, oh, I'm not supposed to relate, but really they're gonna be thinking in views of how a relationship should be based on their relationship. It's going to be a flawed advice. Because you're right, man. Experience and trials you went through. People are so unique based on their own personal experiences. I was constantly worried, still worried. We haven't lived together in 2 months. What are you worried about? What's the number one thing you're worried about? We have a daughter together. 33. 33, you're still young, Cassidy. That's a good age to be at ground zero in the relationship world and build yourself back up, if that makes sense. You need to be very clear on what your fear is, though, what you're worried about, and where your power is in your own life and how you're going to move forward. And it's not going to happen in one day. 3 years is a long time. There's some wounds that need to heal. It's one step at a time. But know you're capable of moving forward. You get back what you put into the universe, man. All positive vibes, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale stuff. Oh, I like Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale. Actually had a not good conversation with my ex yesterday. Oh, no. She's still in the picture, Jesse? Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise, man. You got all this stuff going for you, and you're entertaining talking to this ex again, because to me, where you're headed and where she's headed, I think they're opposite directions. You're going to have to make a U-turn to get back in that relationship, my friend. Kind of my fault. It's a story. Uh-oh. You got a story to tell? Do I have a Napoleon Hill on here? No. Oh, here you go. The Napoleon Hill. Golden.
Rules.
Yeah. That's a good one. She actually had reached out in October, and after a couple of weeks threw in my face that she's calling some dude daddy now. I remember that. That's a story from before. Jesse, let me ask you this. If everything went right, obviously things are going fucking damn good if you quit a job that's a career type job, like a cop. By the way, I know cop's not a... It sucks because you seem like a good dude, so I'd like you to be on a police force, to be honest. We need good cops like you. But the recent story, I started donating all these monies to these charities because of my relationship with her autistic daughter. Well, I wanted to do one last thing for her daughter. Well, that's one thing that came good from the breakup, is you having this soft spot for autism. And actually doing something about it. Actually, being proactive about it is impressive. So you had a silver lining to the breakup. Dark night, a little late, but made it. All good in the hood. Wow, Jesse quit his job, and would you call yourself a social media influencer? Is that what you would call yourself? Jesse, what did you actually do? Well, I wanted to do one last thing for her daughter. What did you actually do for her daughter, if I may ask? Brand new Skinner, I joined the Discord. Thanks, bro. You're going to be a good contributor, I believe. Started therapy sessions with a specialist in domestic violence. There you go. You picked a specialist. Good for you. It's helping, I think. I'm worried for his future, but I have to let that go. One other thing that I actually do that you might want to consider. Yeah, Jesse's called in before. One thing that you might want to consider is something called emotional freedom technique, Cassidy, EFT. You can look that up on YouTube. There's tapping involved. And I would say hypnotherapy. I actually do the emotional freedom technique and hypnotherapy if you want to look into that. But those are two things I would maybe add to the cocktail of you. What you want to be is open to how you're going to get better and how you're going to heal. But I think that's a good smart start, going to a domestic violence specialist. Absolutely good for you. The EFT is good at letting things go sometimes. No, it's never a waste of time, Cassidy. Don't fucking say that. I'm sorry to be harsh with you, but you got a daughter out of it, right? Is that a waste? That alone is your gold nugget. You got a healthy daughter out of it? People say this all, I wasted you didn't waste 2 or 3 years. You gained knowledge, wisdom, and you probably had some good moments there. And if you didn't have good moments, you were doing your best to turn things around. That's not lost. That's just fucking living. People do this all. What do you? So here's the thing. Let's say you didn't meet that guy. You don't have that kid, and none of this ever happens. Who knows what you do? You could have became a crackhead. That's the thing that people don't realize. Well, I wasted my time. If I would have done this, this, and this, everything would have been different. Could have been different, even worse. It could have been even worse. All paths lead to now. You didn't waste time. You're just living life. It's almost like life will just throw these fucking hurdles in front of you, and you're just like, oh shit, where'd that come from? Oh, I should have known this guy's a narcissist. Oh, I should have known this guy was a drug addict. Oh, I should have known she's going to cheat on me. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And you don't get to say afterwards like, oh, this person just wasted my time. No, you learned a lesson. You did your best. You move forward. Right? Life would have no substance if you didn't have some bad things happen sometimes. And here's a big thing that people come out of this with, Cassidy. Also, you're going to get through this, and once you get through this, you're going to be that person to help someone else that's in the same situation you've been in. Why do I do breakup coaching now? Someone says, "Oh, you still aren't over your breakup," or something. No, I've been over that shit. I live in a beautiful place. I like my job. I still have issues in my life that I'm not happy about certain things or this or that. My life's not perfect. Whose is? But being that I've been there before, I've had those feelings, I've had that sadness, I can help you with it. And I came out of it. And that's where your silver lining is going to come from, Cassie, is eventually you're going to come out of this, and there's going to be someone in their 20s later on when you're a little bit older and you got through it, and they're going to be with an abusive husband, and you're going to go, hey, honey, if you need a place to stay, come to my house, and I'll show you the way. That's how humanity should be. Does that make sense, Danny?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where everyone's lost in a lot of ways, because everyone goes, oh, let me look at this huge world problem like the economy. Oh, like when people do these broad statements, well, we need more jobs. What the fuck are you going to do? What are you going to do to get more jobs in the world? Do you know what I mean? Danny's laughing, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like these, like I was watching Joe Rogan yesterday, and Joe Rogan's got all this politics stuff now, but he had Kelsey Tersley. I don't know. She's an ex-congresswoman. I kind of like her. She's from Hawaii. And all the statements are these big, broad, general statements that have no substance. We need people that are going to fight for the people. What does that even fucking mean? We need people in government that are going to make good decisions. What does that even mean? Where is there anything that you're doing other than blowing fucking smoke and blowing whistles and going, we just need to make sure that, people are making strong decisions for the country and for the people. What, for 70 million people, there's going to be someone that's going to make the right chess move? Get the fuck out of here. Sorry. Here's what you need to do. You got somebody like Cassidy Clare, who's 32, 33 years old. She's got a small daughter. She just got out of an abusive relationship. She's one person. Stay with me on this. She's one person. Now, if Cassidy Clare comes out of this thing clean, healed up, raises her daughter to be a good person, a strong, confident individual, right? And she learns that she's worthy of not being in a abusive relationship and that she can move forward in her life. Guess what, Cassidy Clare? You get through this, you're going to be you're going to find someone else and you're going to go, hey, I'm going to help this other person out. And I'm going to raise a daughter that's going to be a good individual. And is going to be part of society and help people out. It's called, what I call it is it's a fucking domino effect. This whole idea of everyone trying to, make massive statements for all of humankind or, all of the masses. Work on yourself. And then one person in your life or one person in your family, help them. Something happens to them, that's good human 101. This crap where people get involved in like, well, the president needs to make good decisions and strong decisions for everyone. You know what? You don't have a whole lot of power in that situation. I'm sorry to tell you. You don't. Like what Deputy 547's doing right now. Look, he's probably not an angel in his life, probably doesn't do everything right. He's got this following on TikTok and Instagram, and he's making money. He's able to quit his job, and he's donating large portions of his money to autism and the Special Olympics. That's admirable. That's actually being proactive. That's not going, there's, people should be, giving more money to Special Olympics and things like that. The government should be creating more programs. This president should be doing this. This person. Start with yourself. Self-reflection. Start, and it doesn't have to be a big fucking deal. It really doesn't. You don't have to do something that's grandeur, that everyone recognizes. You got a friend, family member in need of your help, do your best to help them. Right? Cassidy says, yes, try to change the things you can. I couldn't help him. He needs to help himself. That's absolutely true. That's alcoholism 101. And I'm sure you were a enabler in some way for him. Control of anything other than yourself is an illusion. Absolutely, Jesse. I mean, it's just this idea that people put these blanket statements out there to make themselves sound good that have no action behind them. Right? It's like, make sure you're doing some good things. Do your best to do some good things on your own. See, I didn't want her. Okay, so. See, I didn't want her to even know I played a part, but Dad sold me out. But yeah, I think I'm now an influencer. Okay, cool. We got to do a collaboration then. I got to work on my social media, Jesse. What I was going to do was send her money for her birthday, just a final thing that no one would know that I had a part in, so I didn't cause any ripples. My bad. Well, look, you had good intentions. You led with honesty. Leave it alone now. If someone wants to accuse you of doing else than that, that's on them. If she says, oh, you just did it for your ego, oh, this and that, okay, no problem. You want to believe what you want to believe. We can agree to disagree. That's fine. You know what you did. Don't explain yourself too much. And let the chips fall where they do. And down the road, if you want to give her money down the road or something like that, and you feel like it's a good move and you'll feel good about it, fine. I've talked about this before. There was an individual years back. I didn't have a whole lot of extra money at the time, right? Calls me up, he's got cancer, and he needs money for chemotherapy. We're not even close friends. It's just a restaurant I go to here. Gave it to him. Next 2 weeks later, I need money for chemotherapy again, mate. 2 weeks later, I need money. This guy died. Never paid me a cent. It was a lot, and to be honest with you, it was a lot of money for me at the time. Guess what? No regrets. I did something with good intentions. This man had cancer. He had a catheter in his penis. I mean, he was facing death. It was about half the money I had in my account at the time. Not looking for a pat on the back or anything like that. But what I'm telling people is I never got paid back. I thought I was going to get paid back. I got free dinners and free lunches for a little while. But when the guy passed away, I wasn't thinking like, I better get my money back from his wife or something like that, because I led with good intentions. I was hoping he'd be okay. And Jesse, if you gave that money to the daughter, in all honesty, because that's what you want to do, and you thought it was a nice thing to do, in all honesty, and there was no hidden agenda or you trying to pet your ego, let her believe what she wants to believe. Go ahead. People like to go, oh, you did this because. Really? I didn't know you were inside my brain. I didn't know you had access to know exactly why I do things. And by the way, if you don't believe me when I tell you why I did something, up to you. That's fine. X amount over years down the drain. Know you love that time and it was your life at the moment. I think a lot of dumpies want to see their dumper hurt. Of course, people always want you to feel what they feel. That's why it's very dangerous to be around extremely negative or malicious or people that are easily charged, and you get these ill feelings around them, because people want you to feel like they feel. Right? If they're angry, there's nothing worse for an angry person than to be around someone that's smiling all the time. There's nothing worse to be around someone that's positive when you're negative. Where the class shines through is when a dumpy goes, I'm not going to stoop to that level. And I've seen that before. I talked about that recently with that guy that made that text where where it was such a clean text where he accepted the breakup. He was honest. He goes, yeah, I'm hurting right now, but I'll accept it. I'm doing my best to move forward, and I'll accept why your reasons were, which is you want to be 100% happy and you don't want to punish yourself anymore. Now that guy's hurting, but he did nothing in his comment back to inflict pain on her. He accepted the breakup. He was honest that it hurt him, and he also had his head up high in the end and goes, I'm done. I did get a beautiful baby girl, and she's amazing. That's all you need. Time was not wasted. Done. You can reframe that right now, today, Cassidy Claire. I didn't waste any time. I got a beautiful girl out of this. Her dad hasn't been interested in having her, but it's his loss. Absolutely. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter at this point. Because right now, you're a mom. You're capable of doing big things and doing the best you can right now. That's why I'm going to get certified as a coach as well to help others, because I've been there. Absolutely, Jesse. Right on, bro. If you ever want to talk about my approach or what you want to get into with coaching, we can talk about that. If you want to get my 2 cents, absolutely. I think you'd be great, man. You're a very caring individual. Dark Knight says, fuck him, Cassidy Claire. You don't want a loser like that as a role model. That's actually doing your daughter a favor. I think a lot of people actually feel pity for exes when karma or reality or however you view it happens. You think you want to see them suffer until it happens. It depends on the individual, Skinner, and this is why different strokes for different folks. I always wanted the best for him, but his addiction and abuse turned me into someone I didn't want to be. Well, here's where I'm going to give you some respect. Some people don't do 3 years. They do 6. They do 10. They do 15. You got out early. And you're still young. You still got your youth. Good for you. Your mind is an empty farm field. It will grow what you plant in it. Sure. And then she told her dad that I told her to... Okay. So he called me, but he and I talked and we're still good. Told him I'm completely done now. Did all I could. That's a big statement. That's a big statement, Jesse. I'm done now. I'm completely done now. This is your turning point, dude. You don't even know it. You thought you were done. You thought you were done. You thought you were done. Now you're done because you just said it in an I am statement. That's huge. Jesse, it's huge. Congratulations. Sometimes without the sour, you can't taste the sweet. This bad thing that just happened, this bad interaction with her, is going to be the match that lights the runway for you to move forward. I'm telling you. Wow, sad story, Mac. Respect to you, bro. Thank you. You did it out of kindness of your heart. At the time, I'm being frank with you. At the time, I was thinking, I want my money back. Not in a malicious way, not in an angry way, because I didn't have a lot of extra money in my account. Right? But the second time he called, I didn't even hesitate to say yes, even though I was like, damn, okay. And it did bother me at points because he said, oh, yeah, I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back. And I saw him buy some things after the fact. But then when he passed away, and I would go over there and have lunch and hang out and let him and chat and things like that. And like I said, we weren't super close. But when he passed away, and his wife was like, I'm still going to give you free lunch or free dinner, because she knew it was a significant amount of money. And that was admirable of her. But by the way, I thought to myself, that's good intentions and honesty. This was years back. And that's what you got to go back to in your life. When you do good intentions and honesty, it doesn't work out for you. You get the short end of the stick. Actually, that's the shit when you and I are on our deathbed that we'll look back on and we'll go, I'm glad I was the bigger person. I'm glad I did that for someone in their time of need when they were down and out. That's human. That's being a good human. Sure, I post their traps every now and then. I know how the game is played because of those. I get more viewers, which are people that want to hear my advice and who will potentially donate. Great. You're, like I said, what you're doing, I'm happy for you, man. I'm really happy for you, Jesse. I think that's my ex's issue. I'm doing well, and she's still stuck wherever. Oh, people are going to be jealous. If you're an influencer, you're making money, and you were able to quit your job, there's going to be a lot of deserving people out there. There's a guy that I knew that had a big YouTube channel, or still does, and people would go like, oh, his videos aren't even that good. Oh, this, that, or the other. They always are like talking behind his back and things like that. And I'm like, it's not my favorite channel, or it's not something I would go to, but good for him. Those are people that aren't happy with themselves or their own results. They're just going to try to bring you down. It's called crabs in a bucket. Don't let it hold you down. Do I still love her? Yeah, but I love myself more. Oh, you could still love her, but you could start moving forward. I have big plans, man. Big plans. Actually going to be hiring one of my friends to help me keep up with everything. That's good. That's good. Some do a lifetime as opposed to 5 or 10. Absolutely, Rob. Thank you for chiming in. I guess our microphone's okay today from the Technical difficulties of me sounding like a robot in a tunnel, I was told last time. Well, Jesse, if there's anything, you're much bigger than I am as far as this social influencer is, but if there's anything I could do for you, with you doing this coaching thing or anything like that, please let me know. Or if you want to come on here and talk about what your big plans are. Like I said, I'm happy for you. We did multiple coaching sessions, and I think you're a good person. Not going to lie, I got on YouTube today hoping to catch you live. Oh, really? Well, I take that as a compliment, dude. I take that as a compliment. Big time compliment. Maybe we can, my plan is to have more people coach and do what I do too. Let's get in touch. Need all the help I can get. Oh, absolutely. I'll email you after, or email me after this so I know which Jesse it is. Because there's 3 Jessies that I have. You know me at Coach Mac McCarthy. I started TikTok as well recently. Got 100 likes. Cool. TikTok's a different game. Do you have a TikTok, Danny?
No.
Do you like TikTok?
No, I never used it.
It's very popular in China, right?
Yeah.
One of my Chinese friends here loves it, and she was showing me views of her mom, who I believe's in her 50s or 60s, maybe 60s, was doing these funny skit costume things like in the forest. I mean, like they were like, you know what a skit is?
Yeah.
Like a small play, like a production. I mean, it was funny, but I was like, so is your mom like getting money for this, or is it just fun for her? But I mean, you know what gets lost is like doing creative, fun things is very good for you. It's what we do when we're kids, right? It's what we do. I realize I'm lucky to have gotten out when I did. Well, part of that isn't luck. That's you making a strong decision and being brave and courageous. Give yourself some credit. But the pain still lingers. If you didn't feel any pain, then you would be trying to avoid it. So you dealing with it right now is going to serve you later on, Cassidy. Ruminating thoughts are a problem with me recently, but I took your advice and made a fact and fiction list. Good. Trying to stay in reality and remember what actually happened and how bad it was. Like I said, if you want to look up EFT, you can YouTube that. It's emotional freedom technique. And I would say hypnotherapy is an alternative method. That's something I do now with clients. That's not on my website. TikTok is insanely addictive. I initially want to watch it for 5 minutes. 3 hours later, I'm still swiping. Okay. Cassidy, the EFT thing too, I've recommended that some people find some YouTube videos that they can follow immediately. Like if you have trouble sleeping and letting go, it has to do with tapping. Like I'm letting go of hating my husband, and you tap your wrists together. It's very simplified. It puts you in the present moment. It's an alternative thing. So whenever you're going through a tough time like you are, where you have some trauma and it's fresh and stuff like that, it's okay to be skeptical about new treatments or ideas. I think I was talking to, didn't I talk to you about this, Danny? Being skeptical is okay. Being completely negative, like that's stupid, it would never work, is stupid. If there's a therapy out there, like EFT, hypnotherapy, there's all kinds of stuff. And you think, I'll try it, I'll do what they say to do, and I'll see where it leads. That's being skeptical, and you could even say, I'm not sure if it's going to work. But being someone that's like, that's stupid, life sucks, that's bullshit. Okay, well, that's what you're going to get. Solution mindset means you're open to solutions, means that you actually are on YouTube. Like when people come to my channel or when they do a live coaching session, we talk on FaceTime. I said one of the steps you're doing right now by talking to some coach about a relationship that you saw on YouTube is you're looking for solutions. You're not standing pat. You're not satisfied with, oh, I have this problem. I have this problem. A lot of people like to go around and tell everyone, I have a problem. I have a problem. I have a problem. Solutions like, hey, how do I fix this thing? It took me 3 or 4 months. I think 4 or 5 months, and I did the EFT. I sought out some stuff on Google. This was like 10 years ago. And then I came across a hypnotherapist, and I thought, oh, this is something different that I would try. It's not the same as psychotherapy or one of these things. This is different, and it was eye-opening for me. But what I noticed is solution-based things, you're going to get 1 or 2 things out of it. You're going to get 3 or 4 things. I'm at a point now with my coaching where I have a lot of people come back to me later on because now we have a rapport. And when you get whatever therapist you're working with, you should get a really good rapport with them. What do I mean by that? You know rapport, Danny?
No.
Right. See, I always ask that. Danny's a Thai national, but he's probably got the best English I've ever had of a past student. So I always like to kind of mess with him to see if I can get a word that he actually doesn't know. Rapport might even be French word.
How do you spell it?
Good question. REPORE, I think, but I think there's a little.
Rapport. Okay.
I think that's how you spell it. Rapport. If you look it up, what does it say for the definition? But having a good rapport means that when you talk to someone, that you're really comfortable. Like you don't feel awkward. You don't feel like you can't say something. You feel like you're in sync. And that's when you can really get down to things with a therapist or someone trying to help you or having a long conversation. And that's what I try to do well. Jesse, if you're looking to, I can help you with that too if you're looking to be a coach, how to develop that. All right, we're on.
Is it?
Yeah, I knew I spelled it wrong. Ironically, I'm not. It is a French word. Rapport. See, he spelled it right. RAPPORT. Right when I was spelling it, I'm like, I think I got it wrong. Rapport is a close, harmonious relationship in which the people or groups concerned are in sync with each other, understand each other's feelings and ideas, and communicate smoothly. I would say when you're in therapy or you're talking to a coach, I don't know what a therapist's guidelines are. I would say my goal is to create really good rapport. And there is ways to do that. A lot of times when I talk to people, when we first start, I'll talk to you about where you live, what you do. And then we'll go off into other things such as your job and make sure that we laugh at a few things. Rapport is like a good connection with someone you've shared something personal with, and usually it's very comfortable and trustworthy. Yep. And it's special because human communication right now is an all-time high of not having probably good rapport. And I'll add one more thing. I don't know if you can have good rapport through text message. Never been in therapy before, but she's very kind. I feel comfortable with her so far. Good, Casty. That's a good start. Anyone have any closing questions at an hour, 18 minutes here? This was a good one. Jesse, I want to say thanks for the donation. I'm really excited about you becoming a coach and doing some big plans. I think that's going to be really cool. Samchai, if you're still on deck, thanks for being on the front lines with the nurses and COVID. It's admirable, man. Rob, always a pleasure. Brand new Skinner, if you're on. The Bulls lottery pick, Patrick Williams, looks good. Who else do we got here? I like that. Rob, you like that when I said D's and C's? Roller Girl, I'm not sure if you're still here. Scotty Fitzgerald popped his head in the door. This was a good live stream today. It feels like deja vu, and I've heard these things before because you come on every live stream. I'm sure I repeated myself. I'm getting at a point where I need to interview more people because there's only so many times I can go in a circle. Thanks for saying that, Skinner. That was actually a really good movie with Denzel Washington. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. Cassidy, I want to wish you all the best in your healing process. I think it's going to be just the start of something for you. And if I can give you one easy, quick piece of advice, just keep showing up every day in your own piece of your life. Keep showing up as a mom. If you got a job, which I know it's tough right now for a lot of people out there, keep showing up at your job. You got other roles in your life, Cassidy, that are not one of being a wife, let alone one to someone that's been abusive towards you. This is the start of something fresh and new for you, something good, something clean. Embrace it. Take your time with it. Do some journaling. Take care of yourself. Go for some walks. And know that you did the right thing. Okay, folks, it's curtains.